Now, as we start off our goal setting workshop, what I want to share with you guys today is a formula that I've shared a couple of times in the past, and it's something that I operate by, and a lot of successful people operate by, and it's something I learned from Tony Robbins, and it's something that he's used for over 40 years. To this day, he still uses this formula to reach new levels and new heights of success. And so again, I want to share this with you guys. And some of you have heard this. Some of you are brand new. This is your first time, unless you've gone through Tony Robbins training. But this is a formula that, like a lot of principles we talk about on here, is everlasting. It's eternal. It's a formula that works, and it never becomes antiquated. It works regardless of what's going on in the world or what year it is, or technology. None of that stuff matters. This always works. So you want to make this like the bedrock of your goal setting. You want to make it a foundation to your goal setting, because your goal setting that we're going to be talking about over the next few days, everything really stems back to this right here that we're talking about. This is a formula that is going to play a huge role in your goals. Okay. So Tony Robbins referred to this as his ultimate success formula. And I absolutely love it. I heard this probably a couple of decades ago for the first time. Absolutely blew my mind. And so he teaches where there's 4 steps to it. Okay. I teach a 5th step. And so we're going to cover that today. So again, jot this down. Make sure you take some notes as we're going through this. So this ultimate success formula really is designed to help you achieve any outcome that you want in your life, any goal, any dream, any desire. This ultimate success formula is designed to help you get from where you are to where you want to be and achieve a certain result, desire, or an outcome. This works for anything and everything. All right. So step number 1 to this ultimate success formula is making a decision. Number 1, the starting point of all achievement is to decide what it is that you want. That's the first step. You have to actually make a decision, and you have to know what your outcome is. What is your specific outcome or result or desire that you're trying to achieve? You have to decide. I just finished Brian Tracy's book on goal setting again. And I'm also going through kind of this master course on goal setting and vision by a lot of great mentors. This is something that was kind of compiled by the Nightingale Conant company. And it's just huge master course. It's an audio course where they basically compiled, all these amazing talks and lectures and teachings and trainings from guys like Jack Canfield and Zig Ziglar and Jim Rohn and Les Brown and all these amazing individuals, and Brian Tracy. Well, between Brian Tracy's book and this master course, one of the things that they've mentioned is one of the biggest reasons, and I truly believe this, one of the biggest reasons why most people do not have what they want is because they simply haven't made a decision. They haven't made a decision. They haven't got clear about what it is that they want. And we've talked about this many times. Think of it in terms of going out to eat. If you go to a restaurant, and if you walk into a restaurant and say, "Hey, I'm hungry, I want some food," okay, they may bring you something that you don't like, or they may bring you something that doesn't quite satisfy your hunger, or something that maybe you're allergic to or is not good for you, right? They may bring you a dessert when you want an entree, or vice versa. So in life, this is what most people do. They say, "I want more money. I want to be healthier. I want better relationships," but they stop there. Or maybe they haven't verbalized it, but they've had these thoughts, right? See, keep in mind that even if you haven't externalized or, externally voiced what it is you want, when you're thinking about these things, it's the same thing. And so most people, they think about more money, they think about better relationships, they think about all these things, but they haven't got clear. They're very vague. And that's one of the reasons why most people don't have what they want. Okay. Like Tony Robbins, was it Tony Robbins? No, it's Jack Canfield. Jack Canfield was speaking at an event, and a guy, he says, "What do you want?" And the guy says, "I want more money." And Jack Canfield's like, "Okay, here's $1. Get out of here." Just kind of joking around with the guy. And but he's making a very clear point that if you just ask for more money, well, okay, here's $1. Well, I want more than that. Well, you didn't say you wanted more than that. You just said you wanted more money. How am I supposed to know, or how's God supposed to know what it is you want if you just are very vague in general and you just say, I just want more money, just like going into a restaurant. I'm hungry, I want food. Okay, well, that's very vague. You may not get what you want. So step number one is to get crystal clear. Get crystal clear about what you want. How much money do you want? How much money do you want to see in your bank account? How much income do you want on an annual or a monthly basis? What exactly does it look like? Once you get crystal clear on what it is you want, then that's when the magic starts to happen. That's when things start to show up. Like literally resources, people, circumstances, events, all these things start to show up in your life to help you achieve that goal or that outcome. But that's not going to happen until you get crystal clear. So that's step one, is make a decision. Get clear about what you want. That's the only way that God and the universe can help you. Number two is, once you know what it is you want, the second step is to take massive, massive, massive action towards its achievement. Now, I got to clarify this. Okay. When you talk about massive action, some people think in terms of physical action. And I got to admit, for the longest time, that's what I thought as well. They think, physically moving, physically going to work, putting in, 15, 18, 20 hours days and working your guts out and working 7 days a week and so forth. I'm not opposed to working hard. Okay. All right. I believe in working hard in certain aspects or towards certain goals. And again, working hard definitely is one of the ingredients to success. I absolutely believe that. Now, obviously, that's subjective. One person's definition of working hard is different from another person's, right? Okay, there's no written rule or scripture out there that says, you're not working hard until you're putting in 10 hours a day or 12 hours a day or working 6 days a week. There's no, set in stone formula for what working hard is. It's all subjective. But here's the thing, is taking massive action is not only or just about physical action. Like when you think about taking massive action, you think of somebody that's hurriedly, in a hurry, urgent, working hard here and doing all this physical stuff. Taking massive action also applies to the mental game as well. So keep that in mind. I want to clarify that because so many people think, like I used to think, that it's all about the physical work. Now, granted, there are some goals and certain outcomes and stuff that does require physical effort and hard work and putting in that time. Granted, but there are other goals that it's more about the mental action, not so much the physical action. And for most of your goals, it's going to be both, right? The thing is if you do, for a lot of your desires and outcomes, okay, if you just apply the mental game, it's not going to get you there. And the opposite is true. If you just apply the physical game, it's not just going to get you there. For most, not all of them, keep that in mind. For most of your goals, it's going to require both for you to achieve the ultimate outcome. Let me clarify this. Okay. Again, after over 20 years of coaching people and studying myself and studying other successful people, what I've learned is that with the physical effort will only take you so far. Perfect example is Roger Bannister in the 4-minute mile. So Roger Bannister, as many of you know, for quite some time was trying to run the 4-minute mile. He tried and tried and tried, and time after time he failed. It wasn't until he went internally and he started to work on his mental action. And he started to imagine and visualize him running the 4-minute mile. Once he started to imagine and visualize and using his mental action, not just the physical action, that's when he achieved the ultimate outcome. Doing all the physical work, no matter how hard he tried with the physical action, it wasn't enough. He needed both the physical and the mental action to achieve his goal or his outcome. Now, the opposite is true. Would he have achieved that outcome if he would have just sat at home all day long, imagining and visualizing running a 4-minute mile, but not actually going out there and physically working and physically taking action? Of course not. So that wouldn't have worked either. It was a combination of the physical work, the physical action, and the mental action. Now, again, granted, there are some goals that there's just really not a whole lot you can do with the physical action. It's just really more about the mental action to bring it into your world, to attract and manifest into your world, right? Okay, granted, there are some goals, but those are few, that's the minority. And the opposite is true, but the vast majority of your goals, if you want to achieve the highest level results, the highest performance, the ultimate, okay, rather than achieve this, if you want to achieve the absolute best in that goal or that area, it's going to require the mental action and the physical action. Do you guys get this? Does that make sense? So I just want to take some time to clarify that, because like I said, a lot of people get that wrong or perceive that in the wrong way. So mental action, taking massive action, is just as much about, affirmations and visualization and using your imagination, journaling, the things we talk about, writing down your goals, the things we talk about. It's just as much that type of action, the mental tools, the mental strategies, as it is the physical labor and the physical action. Okay. So you need action to achieve your outcome, to achieve your goals, obviously. Number 3, okay, you have to track your results. Okay, what you measure improves. Always remember that. Whatever you measure improves. And if you have a coach or a mentor to help you measure that, then it improves even faster, exponentially. Whatever you measure improves. See, when you start paying attention to your results or to, what you're doing in a certain area, what you're telling your mind and your brain is, this is important to me. And then your mind goes to work to bring about the people, the tools, the resources, everything to help you achieve that, because you are paying attention to it. You're giving focus to it. You're measuring your progress. But what it also does is it gives you something to work towards. It also allows you to see your progress and you can reward yourself, right? So there's several different benefits and aspects to measuring your progress that lead to improving and ultimately achieving your goal. But the most important thing is you want to track and measure your results, track and measure what you're doing. When it comes to finances, you want to track and measure your finances, your investments, and all these different things so you can see what's working, what's not working. But you can also see how you're improving, because a lot of times people, here's the other aspect, is a lot of times people are improving and they don't realize it because they're not measuring it. Like with weight loss or health and fitness, that's a big one. A lot of times people are actually making progress, but they just don't see it until they actually measure it. The problem with that is if you don't see that you're making progress, you may give up, on your journey. When in reality, if you actually measured it and saw that you're making progress, you would get excited. Okay. All the positive chemicals and, your reward center would basically reward you mentally, say, hey, great job. And it motivates you to continue moving forward. But you're not going to feel motivated if you don't see that you're making progress. So you have to measure that to see it. But like I said, also, is it gives you something to aim towards. It's like, every day when I go out and run, I track my progress and I can see how I'm doing better. Now, if I wasn't tracking my progress, I probably wouldn't stick with it because it wouldn't be fun to just go out and run. I mean, some people love to do that. For me, for most people, it's not just going out and running. It's about making progress, achieving a certain goal or a certain outcome, achieving a certain result. And so I probably wouldn't stick with it if I wasn't able to see how I'm progressing and improving. And then as I progress and improve, I'm like, okay, I hit this benchmark. Now let's work on the next benchmark, right? And so on and so forth. So number 3 is track and measure your results. So you can see what's working, what's not working. You can reward yourself, you motivate yourself. And again, little by little, it leads you towards your outcome. Number 4 is when you notice something is not working, change your approach. Change your approach. Here's the big mistake that most people make is they set this goal and then they see that it's not working or it's not working in the time frame that they allotted. What do most people do? They change their goal. You never, ever change your goal. You don't change the goal, you change your approach. So that's one big mistake that most people make. Don't change your goals, change your approach. All right. And then the 5th step is, and this is what I came up with. The first 4 steps were what Tony Robbins, designed as ultimate success for him. And once again, I'm just basically relaying what I've learned from him. I loved it so much, and it's really, about as perfect as it gets. But there's one 5th step that I decided to add to it, and that is never, ever, ever give up. To me, that is just as important as the other 4 steps. Never give up. To me, that is one of the biggest reasons why most people don't achieve their goals, if not the biggest reason. Okay. People decide what they want. They take action. Okay. A lot of them, measure their results. They might change some things, but the problem is oftentimes too many people give up just a few inches or a few feet from striking gold, just like Napoleon Hill talks about in Think and Grow Rich. And I firmly believe that most people would achieve their goals. Pretty much everybody would achieve their goals if they would just stick with it long enough. Just like Napoleon Hill talks about in Think and Grow Rich, you cannot be denied success. If you stick with it long enough, and if you're actually putting in the action, putting in the effort, and doing everything that you know to do, if you have a desired outcome, if you've told your mind, this is what I want, and every day you're working towards it, you cannot be denied success. In other words, what Napoleon Hill is saying is you will achieve that goal if you stick with it long enough. It may happen faster, it may take longer. Either way, you will achieve that goal. If you know what you want and every day you're taking action towards it and you don't give up in the process, you will achieve your goal. And I believe that 100% wholeheartedly. That's why that 5th step, never give up, is so important, because most people give up before achieving their goal. And unfortunately, I believe a lot of people give up right when they're about to achieve it. I mean, I talked about this a week or 2 ago. I mean, can you imagine if we were able to take a step back and God was able to show us and say, hey, let me show you how close you were to achieving that goal. If you would have just hung on for one more day, one day, you would achieve that goal. How would you feel knowing that you gave up one day too early? Or if you'd hung on 1 week, even 1 week away, how would you feel? You'd be like, oh my gosh, I was that close. Even 1 month. just 1 month away. I mean, seriously, some people are working on goals for quite some time, and 1 month is nothing. So I believe most people give up right when they're about to strike gold. Tony Robbins shares a great example of this. He talks about a jet taking off from LA to Hawaii. And he says, this is why the ultimate success formula works for pretty much everything in your life: relationships, health and fitness, finances, every area of your life. This formula works for everything. It just works. And, to me, Tony Robbins, he's the man. There's nobody that on this earth today that has studied personal growth, personal development, human transformation more than Tony Robbins. He has studied it over 40 years. That's been his obsession. He's obsessed over this for over 40 years. He's immersed himself in it. He's read more books, interviewed more people, studied, more information on human transformation and personal growth than anybody else alive today. And so to me, Tony Robbins, when he says something like this, like, I can't think of a better mentor, better resource for these kind of principles. So this formula works for just about everything. He talks about in terms of a jet taking off from LA to Hawaii. Number one, okay, they know what their outcome is. They made a decision where they're going, right? They're going to Hawaii, just like your goals. Okay, here's where I'm going. I'm making X amount of dollars a month, or I want X amount of dollars in my bank account, or I want to make X amount of dollars by the end of the year, or I want this desired outcome with my body or my relationships. Okay, so just like that jet, here's my outcome. We're going to go to Hawaii. Number two, okay, what do? They take massive action, right? They get the jet ready, right? They do all their prep and so forth. And then they take off from runway. They go full throttle, because the only way that jet can take off the runway is if they go full throttle. Half throttle is not going to get off the runway. Okay, a quarter throttle is not going to get off, even 3/4. They got to go full throttle to get that jet off the runway. Okay, and they continue full throttle until they get to a certain altitude. When they get to a certain altitude, then they can back off the throttle. But they take massive, massive, massive action. Okay, leaving where they are and heading towards where they're going. Okay, that's the key. Success leaves clues. Okay, the minute you set a goal and decide what you want to take immediate action, not tomorrow, next week, not next month, immediate action. We'll talk more about this during our goal setting workshop, because if you don't take immediate action, that initial excitement, motivation wears off, and before you know it, you haven't done anything. So you take immediate action, just like that jet, full throttle, immediate action, get off the runway right now. Okay, number three, okay, on that flight to Hawaii, what are they doing the entire time? They're paying attention. They have these gauges, they have these computers that tell them if they're on course or off course, right? And guess what? Most of the time, did you know that most of the time they're off course? Okay? Because the earth rotation, the wind, the weather, all these external factors are knocking them off course. Isn't that amazing? Have you ever set a goal and felt like the minute you set your goal, you had all this resistance and like these negative thoughts creep in, or some external forces that were like working against you, trying to prevent you from becoming the best version of you, or preventing you from achieving a certain outcome? I mean, so the same thing. It's like, man, this is really just such a perfect example, because that is so true. It happens to all of us. We get excited, we set a goal, we start taking massive action, and it seems like whether it's the adversary or our own negative and limiting thoughts and beliefs, or whatever it is, internal, external, you name it, all these opposing forces show up to try to thwart your progress. And so the same thing with that jet. 90% of the time, it's off course. All these forces working against it. Now, the pilots, what do? Do they freak out? And they say, oh my gosh, we're off course. We're not going to make it. We need to change our goal. We need to change our destination. No, that's ridiculous, right? If that were the case, there's not a single flight that would ever land at its destination, not one, because every jet that's ever taken off, has to make adjustments and modify to land at their destination. So the same thing is true in your life. You can't freak out, the minute you take action and, and you're starting to measure your progress and you notice you're off course, you're off track. You can't freak out and say, oh my gosh, we got to change our goal. We got to change our outcome because we're not going to make it. No, you got to maintain the same strategy as that jet. Like, you don't change the destination. You don't change the goal. Okay. You don't freak out. You just say, hey, all right, we're off course. What do we need to do to get back on course? So they see the gauges, the computers are telling them, hey, okay, we're off course. Okay, no big deal. This happens. We just get back on course. So throughout the entire flight, they're constantly measuring their progress, back on course, measuring their progress, back on course, measuring their progress, back on course, until eventually, what do? They land in Hawaii on a dime. Isn't it amazing? Okay, so they measure their progress, they change their approach, which is step 4. Okay, and the same thing you need to do. You notice you're off course? Hey, no big deal. Just change our approach. Okay, get back on course. Measure our progress, back on course. Measure our progress, change our approach, get back on course. Okay, and then obviously, number 5, you just don't give up. It's that simple. All right, love that formula. Okay. All right, let's check our messages here. We're gonna wrap up. Paul, I got your message, but you're gonna have to clarify. You're gonna have to clarify that one, brother. Anyway, man, not quite sure what you're saying there, but thank you for your message, brother. Marcus, good for you, Marcus. Outstanding. Keep up the great work, brother. Man, love your message. Larry, good day to you, brother. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. Awesome. All right, Paul. Hey, I got to get going here. We're a little bit over on time, so maybe you'll have to follow up with me tomorrow on that message. So anyway, love and appreciate you guys. Like I always say, if you do the things today that most people won't, tomorrow you will have the life that most people can't. Go out there and make it your best day ever, and we'll see you right back here same time tomorrow. God bless, and we'll see you then. Thanks, everybody.